Here we are making orgonites again. After the hulking success of my first organ pyramid, I decided to try again, thanks to a fair amount of wonderful and validating comments, along with questions, tips, and suggestions. I have immortalized these precious moments just for you, because learning from your own mistakes is frankly a waste of your time. I left a list of all the things that you will need to make an organ pyramid in the description. These are things such as resin, metals, and gemstones, along with molds and silicone tools for working with resin, which make your life so much easier, whether you're a resin inveterate or even a mere amateur such as myself. Someone commented that the key to making powerful orgonites is to create multiple layers of metal and resin. The smaller the metal particles, the more layers created when mixing with the resin, and this will help spread that life-giving energy that is generated in the piece. So I hopped online and ordered myself a couple of pounds of metal powders, some copper powder, and some iron powder. I wanted to give this generation of orgonites an earthy monochromatic aesthetic without shimmery mica powders or resin inks. Sure, I want my pyramid to be pretty in a post-apocalyptic way, but I'm going more for function here. Mixing the resin with the metal powders is interesting. There were a multitude of bubbles forming, and the metals kept sinking to the bottom, so I had to keep mixing. But the bubbles went away, and you just have to scrape the bottom of the cup to get all that metal goodness out. The cube orgonite is different than the other ones, as it's already sitting bottom down, so I added this beautiful quartz crystal tower that will stick out from the top when it's all done. A while ago, a nice lady gave me this big chunk of selenite, which is a crystallized form of gypsum that's mostly commonly found in the form of a translucent, multifaceted stone. It's formed when sulfate in calcium-rich salt water evaporates, and it has a hardness of 2 on the Mohs scale. That is quite soft. Of a metaphysical nature, selenite is said to be a powerful healing crystal that promotes peace and calm, mental clarity, and well-being. It's also believed by some that this crystal can remove negative energy and help you connect to higher realms. I quite like the selenite's chatoyance or cat's eye effect, and I think it brings out a bit of sparkle in the otherwise drab and flat metal coloring. Here we are exploring the weight of the metal-rich resin, which sank right to the bottom, and I was wondering what will happen when I try to pull some strands of it upwards. And it looks neat, and I hope it'll stay like that. Some of those little air bubbles popped on their own, and to delete the stubborn ones, I spritzed the fine mist of alcohol over the top, and that annihilated the rest. The gem spheres that I went with this time are smoky quartz, to add to that cloudy day mood. According to the Crystal Council, smoky quartz is the perfect stone for people who constantly find themselves with a wandering mind and an inability to focus, which is excellent for us. The small orgonite objects were created over a few days. It took about 3 layers to make them, letting the resin dry for 48 hours in between, at least. The large one took a couple of weeks, as it has 8 layers in total, 7 of which have some layers of metal included in the resin. And here is the proper way to get smaller pieces of selenite from a big chunk. Hammer along the grain for a clean split. This was actually quite a satisfying process. It's akin to breaking a whole bunch of little things, but for a good purpose. Then I went into my silver bowl full of random crystal chunks to find some little gems that would fit the vibe of this lot of earthy orgonites. I chose some black ones for the big pyramid. There's probably some obsidian, black onyx, maybe some jet in there. I don't think that there are any fancy expensive stones, but they're still from the earth and they deserve respect, just like any bougie ones. Along the edges of the pyramid, I like to add some long gems. Sometimes they are quartz points. In this case, they are shiny selenite ones that I worked so hard to procure. When you pour the resin, do it slowly and from a small distance to avoid an excess of bubbles. I like to pour on the side of the mold to prevent the bubbles from piling up. Another trick to reduce the amount of bubbles is to pre-warm the 2 parts of resin before mixing them. By putting them in a dish with warm water and keep the mixture in the warm water when mixing too. You can also use a heating pad for this purpose, but I don't have one. Instead, I kept my resin on a portable heater. I've used a few resin brands in the past, and I've stuck with a liquid glass brand because it's a casting resin designed for deep pour, and you can pour thicker layers than the top coat resin brands. There are a few differences between them. The major one is that the liquid glass releases bubbles faster and easier, doesn't get as hot, and it takes longer to cure. This allows you a longer time to work with it after you've mixed it. Along with these perks, as you've guessed it, is a spicier price tag. Of course there is, but it's worth it, I assure you. The small pyramid got all tiny colorful stones. Who knows what's in there? Probably some jasper, quartz, and agate chips. They look like tiny river stones, especially with a shiny resin that resembles water on top. And the small ones, having only 3 layers, are all done and ready to be demolded. I did spray mold release inside my molds before pouring the resin, because some of these shapes, especially the smaller ones, are difficult to extract from the molds. They will definitely need some refining and polishing later. And I'll have to pay more attention to the tip in the future to make sure that resin fills the point. Seeing that was a bit disappointing. I do love the way the bottom turned out though. If you're new to the concept of orgonite and you're wondering what the purpose of it is, here's a quick explanation for you. The term orgonite refers to a mix of metals, resin, quartz crystals, and semi-precious gemstones that resonates with the life energy that we also know as prana, chi, or organ. This natural earth energy is the most powerful cosmic energy there is, the heartbeat of our planet, as it were. And if you subscribe to the metaphysical philosophy that seeks to understand the invisible, spiritual nature of all life which transcends the physical material plane in which we all live, you might be subject to believing that you can achieve all these material goals by using an invisible force that we call prana, chi, or organ. In other words, organ pyramids are powerful spiritual tools that transform universal life form energy into a very powerful positive energy that will benefit each area of your life: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The big pyramid is only halfway there, so we have to keep going. The layers just keep repeating with more metal layers at the bottom. Someone suggested that I should try copper coins/pennies as an alternative to copper coils, as a non-magnetic conductive metal base. So I got out the old penny bottle and collected the cleanest looking coins as possible, after trying to clean some with vinegar as advised by Google. Don't try this method, especially when dealing with new pennies produced after 1982, as they are actually made of zinc and only plated with copper. They don't want to be clean. Probably most of the pennies that I used here are mostly zinc, but I'm told that zinc is still a copacetic metal for use in an orgonite. Sadly, the pennies mostly got covered by the next layer of copper and iron. So they got lost in the design. This was not intended, because I took care to lovingly arrange them in the Metatron's cube pattern. That's okay, we know they're there and working magic for us. I know some people would say that this is a waste of money and time, to which I say, it might be, but it's just 13 cents. What will you buy with 13 cents? And time, my friend, is for spending, doing something that is worthy, something creative and fun. Exploration of our potential is what we're here for. And creatives will create, haters be damned. Because if we stop to get approval and validation for every idea and concept we think of from everyone, nothing would get done. You can just conclude by saying that some people just don't know how to appreciate good things. And beauty is in the eyes of the creator, and similar cliches. I use most of my quartz chip stash for this pyramid, and shopping for supplies seems a never-ending task. It's fun, of course, and also expensive. So if you want to keep the videos and good vibes going, consider becoming a patron. Shameless plug, I know, but I can't afford a manager to do it for me yet. Now I know a lot of you watching this are totally vibing with these concepts and wanting to make your own experimentation with this orgonite thing. I get it. It's mysterious, esoteric, and mystifying, and we all enjoy solving a puzzle, having faith in something. It gives meaning to our lives and provides the greatest of all treasures, which is hope. The hope that maybe your stress and money problems will go away, along with that negative energy or attitude. Hope to have better sleep and vivid dreams, or that your mood, stamina, and sexual attraction will finally improve. All of these things and more are set to happen if you just sprinkle some orgonite objects in your home or workspace. But does it really work? That, my friend, like a lot of other things in this life, is still a mystery to me. At the very least, it could be a catalyst or a reminder for people to be more mindful, more present, more curious, and awe-inspired. Orgonites in general are beautiful objects after all, and where there's beauty, there is truth and power. And now it's time to open it up and see what we made. This is neat. Come here, come here. Come on. If orgonites indeed transmute negative energy into positive energy, a mindful person might sense it and be positively affected in different areas of their life, while a non-believer will dismiss it and look at it with disregard or even disgust. Like, what's even the point of this thing? Just a paperweight. And is it not written, how you do one thing is how you do everything? How you treat one thing might be how you treat everything. I might propose that it is not the orgonite that has the power, but rather the mind that perceives the orgonite. The orgonite is a beautiful object and perhaps quite powerful, but there's something even more powerful. And that, my friend, is your mind. If you believe in the orgonite, you believe in other mystical, mysterious, and even ineffable things. And that is good. The mysterious is what keeps our eyes in wonder, what prevents us from being completely jaded and bored with the known and the already experienced. And I too want to believe in the unknown, supernatural, and mystical. I hope you enjoy this video, and until next time, my friend, keep creative and trust the flow. And a big thank you to my patrons who continuously support the artists behind the channel. Your help is truly appreciated. Eddie, Ingrid, Cheryl, Kristen, Jackie, Louis, and Paul.